Alright, let's keep my Disney reviews going and talk about The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, which is the sixth and final package film in the 1940s that Disney released. Because since they didn't have enough funds in the 1940s during World War II, they didn't make movies that had a full narrative. They just had like shorts or musical segments in these six package films. And this is the last one, and I think that this one is one of the best ones out of all of them, I could say. I don't think any of these package films are amazing by any means. I think this is one of the best ones, this and Make Mine Music, if I had to pick two of them from the package film era in the 1940s. And in this film, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, it's only got two shorts, or two segments, like Fun and Fancy Free did, which to me is interesting because out of both of these shorts, Wind in the Willows and The Headless Horseman, I really didn't like the Wind in the Willows one much. I thought it was really boring, really uninteresting. I thought the characters weren't that interesting. I thought that the character Toad was kind of fun, who is this character who is in a mania for things in which he gets an obsession of something quick and has to pursue that until he gets snapped out of his obsession. And I thought that was kind of a fun thing. And I haven't read this book or the Sleepy Hollow book, so all of this is new to me, just in terms of an adaptation. I've never read the book of either of these, so I think that as an adaptation, I wouldn't be able to say how I felt about the book because I haven't read either one. But in terms of this, the Wind in the Willows one is just okay. It's really boring. I like Toad, like I said. I thought he was a fun character. And it's just a very simple story where Toad gets framed by this guy, Winky, who he's trying to get this certain thing, and then Winky frames him, and then he gets taken to prison, and his friends have to break him out. And that's pretty much it. And he gets cleared at the end, and then, just at the end, Toad gets another, mania where, he goes insane over something new. And that's the only thing I could say, is that the Toad character, that was fun, but the whole story and the characters besides him were just boring and uninteresting for me personally. It just was never a story that gripped me, and I didn't watch this as a kid. I've seen this movie before, but I didn't watch it as a kid, and I never have had this nostalgic connection to this movie. So I've never felt for the first short, at all, I liked it or really cared. There are a couple okay things about it for me, but in terms of entertainment value and watchability, the first short, Wind in the Willows, is not something that I will watch again. But the other short, on the other hand, the Sleepy Hollow one, is really, really freaking good. That's one of these shorts is really, really, in terms of all these package films, this has one of the best ones, the Sleepy Hollow one. I really thought that it's interesting that you've got a really unlikable and unsympathetic main character with Ichabod Crane in this version, where Ichabod Crane is trying to marry, but just to get money. He's trying to get wealth. And I think that it really is cool that we've got a dick as a main character in a Disney movie, and it really works in how unlikable, he's likable, but he's unlikable, if that makes any sense. But I like that idea of him just trying to marry and him trying to get a fortune. And I really like the music for this. The music in this was really, really good. The first song, Ichabod Crane, that one is really great too. That's one of the, all these songs in this Sleepy Hollow segment are really good. They're all really fun, really catchy. I think is it Bing Crosby? Who is it that sings it? It's somebody like that. But I really thought that the music was interesting and really fun. And I like how he's trying to marry this girl called Katrina Van Tassel, who is basically, in terms of design, is just Cinderella from the next movie that they make. It's the first Cinderella. And it was literally released a year after this movie, so they really made her seem and look so much like Cinderella. She doesn't have a voice because they don't have all these voices. It's just one narrator singing the whole segment. But I like that character looked so much like Cinderella, and it was purposefully done because in the next movie, Cinderella, she actually looks just like that. I thought that was a clever nod just to the future to come in the next year with the next Disney movie. And I really liked the scenes where Brom Bones and Ichabod Crane fight over Katrina, and I think it's fun. And I think that Brom Bones is a character that is not as unlikable as Ichabod Crane, but he is a bully. Like, he does like practical jokes a lot and just fucks with people. And I like that the way that they both fight over her is really fun and really entertaining. Like, they have a fun little banter back and forth, just how they try to get her back, and she's just kind of making them both like fight each other. And I thought that was funny and fun. And then of course we get to the Headless Horseman song, which is really cool. It's out of the couple of songs in this segment, this one is the best one. The You Can't Reason with the Headless Man one. And it's really, really catchy, really, really unique, really a great song. I can hear it in my head right now because it's just so catchy and works so well as this song, and such a great way to incorporate the story of how Ichabod Crane and Brom Bones and Katrina are all at this party. And Brom Bones is telling the story of the Headless Horseman, and he sings this song. And it's really cool because it tells completely what this thing is, the Headless Horseman, and it tells and shows that Ichabod Crane is really terrified. And I like the idea of how after this happens, Ichabod has to go home, and you get the Headless Horseman sequence, which, in terms of scary moments for Disney, like animated, this is one of the, like, it doesn't scare me, of course, but in terms for, like, if you're a kid watching this, I think this is really terrifying with the Headless Horseman. Like, the way it's shot, the way that it builds up to the Headless Horseman appearing, because for a while it's just Ichabod Crane and his horse out in the woods, and he sees like faces, but then like trees, like kind of like in Snow White, where like he just sees stuff and imagines stuff's there, but it's not, and it's really quiet until you hear that cackle and you just see the Headless Horseman laugh at him, and then Ichabod Crane like jumps out of his skin and tries to go away with the horse, try to run away. And I like the idea that you don't see his death, but Ichabod just dies. And that's another thing that I think is really cool about this as a Disney movie. I mean, it's not a whole movie because it's a segment of two, but I thought that it's really cool that we got an unlikable character and in the end he dies. That's really cool, and that's something that usually Disney does not ever do. But they could get away with it for this short because it wasn't a full-length movie. Like, if somebody watched a full-length Disney movie as a kid and realized at the end, like, the main character was unlikable and died, like, Disney would have gotten so much shit for it. But I think it works in this because of the source material of what it is, and I think that it's just interesting perceiving this unlikable character to die at the end, and it makes sense because it's not a full movie. If it was a full movie, I feel like people would be more pissed off, but this is just one of the shorts, but it ends in the way he dies, so I like that. I like that they kept with it, that he died at the end and was gone for good. And I liked how it has an epilogue where, like, Brom Bones marries Katrina, and then the narrator's saying, "Oh, Ichabod's gone," but then some people believe that he moved far away and got a family. And I think that's the cover-up, just to make sure kids won't be like, "Oh, he died, and we're sure he died." They made that point to say that he might be somewhere with a family, he just probably ran away, but no, I think he's dead. I think that's how it works, and it's interpretation, but I interpret that he died. And I really, really enjoyed the second segment of this movie. The first one is not very interesting to me. It was so boring and uninteresting, and it just didn't ever grip me. These characters, besides Toad, was the only one I kind of enjoyed, and the other characters were boring, and the story was boring. But then the second one, Sleepy Hollow, was really, really great. So overall, this is I mixed on this short, like, literally, this movie literally, because one short I really, really, really like, and then one I don't like. So, very mixed bag, but in terms of the greatness, in terms of the Sleepy Hollow short, that overtakes the other short, but it still makes it more worthy, even though it's got a more lackluster short for me with a great short. So it's weird, it's a mixed bag, but I still really legitimately love the second segment, and I think that watching them both, I guess it's fine. I just am bored watching the first segment, but just watching the Sleepy Hollow one alone is way better. So overall, this one was really good for the second short. And this ends our Disney package films, where, like I said, in the 1940s, they just made films with different segments and shorts until they were able to make full-length films again, full-length films with one narrative. And this will hit us right into Cinderella, which is the next animated film from Disney, and I'm excited to talk about that one. The return to form after these films that came out. So overall, this one I just thought was all right in a way because of not liking one short and liking one short a lot. So overall, it's a mixed bag, but I love the second one so much. I think it makes it better than what I would have thought if it was just the first short. So overall, I'm just gabbling now. Overall, this was just a really awesome second short. The first one was boring, so overall, just it's okay.